$4,000. That is the amount it physically took to get 4 people onto St. Bart's after the New Year's. You probably flew first class or took a private helicopter somewhere. Dog, I wish we did that. But here's the real breakdown of how this happened. If you watched any of my previous videos about St. Bart's, you know that getting there is not that simple. You usually have to fly into Puerto Rico or St. Martin, and then after you fly into one of those two places, you take a small boat transfer or a small plane transfer. Our family decided to fly into St. Martin. So let's look at the round trip flights to St. Martin. At $700 a person, we're already at $2,800. But if you think that this amount of money is crazy already, just wait till you see how much we spent on our first night on the island. Anyways, getting back to St. Martin, we now had to spend another $200 round trip on the small plane. Actually, no, not round trip. $200 per person per way on the small plane. But before we could even get on the small plane though, Trump decided to kidnap Maduro. This is just my luck when traveling. So of course, I just had to figure out how to get 4 new small plane tickets. And these plane tickets, keep in mind, they're booked out for months like before you can get on them. So getting these small plane tickets was not easy. But I'm the travel agent, so of course I just figured it out. I ended up getting me and my girlfriend 2 last tickets on the St. Bart's commuter, which was 140 euros per person, and then I got my parents on another Win Air flight, which was around $230 per person for them. So yeah, after all was said and done, we ended up spending around $4,000 just to get to St. Bart's. Stupid how it's not even first class, dude. And we didn't even do a single thing yet. So first night on the island, how much did we spend? So the first night on the island, the parents decided to stay in, and me and my girlfriend just decided to say, hey, let's do a chill us night tonight. Let's keep it a little bit budget friendly. Let's just do some dinner and some drinks, and let's just keep it super casual. So we went to Bonito on our first night. The reason we went to Bonito is because it was right next to our villa. We were staying in Gustavia. It's like the main city / town area of the island. We decided to order some mini Wagyu tacos, some lobster tacos, 2 cocktails, and 1 steak donburi for our main entree that we just decided to share for the 2 of us. We weren't really looking at the price on the menu because it looked like a casual place, honestly, and it wasn't that expensive. We really thought for the 2 of us here that we would spend around $150, maybe $250. In reality, we spent 362 euros. And the reason that I thought Bonito was cheap because I went to the island last year. This is the second time I'm in St. Bart's, and the prices just totally changed from what it was last year to this year. So let's continue going on throughout the night. We can't end the night at dinner because it's just dinner, and we're really excited about St. Bart's and we want to go somewhere else. So we decided to try like just a little lounge area just to get a couple of drinks. We went to Pablo. The plan here at Pablo was just to get the light drinks I was talking about, as well as dance with some of the locals and some other people that are at Pablo, maybe some of the other tourists, and try and keep it low spend. So the goal here was just to get 1 round of drinks. Guess how much that 1 round of drinks cost? 60 euros, and that's not including tip. So at this point, after Pablo already, we're like, no, we gotta go home. So we end up starting to walk home, and we think we spent too much. We need to chill. But on the walk home, there was a dude outside of this bar called Le Clandestine trying to get people in. Usually, I never followed for this door-to-door marketing, but for some reason, the way he was like looking at us and the way he was talking to us, he just really pulled us in. And also, I was craving a really good cigar. So I asked, do you guys have a nice area to smoke a cigar? They really did. They had one of the coolest speakeasies, but they also charged 100 euros for the cigar that actually would cost $35 everywhere else. It was the Davidoff No. 2 cigars. And we also had another 2 more drinks there because you can't drink cigars without whiskey. This was another 100 euros each. So 100 euros for the cigar and another 100 euros for the 2 drinks. So 200 euros. But while we were at the speakeasy, we met the absolute coolest group of people, played cards, and we had an amazing time. So was a casual night out worth $750? I don't know. That's up to you to decide. Okay, that was night 1 out of 13. But imagine what happens when all 4 of us will start spending money. Hint, it's gonna fly like water. But before any of that, you absolutely need to rent a car on St. Bart's. As I mentioned again in my first video, there is no Uber here, and taxis on St. Bart's are a complete monopoly. To go anywhere, whether it be a 1-minute drive or a drive across the whole island, it'll be 100 euros. So therefore, you need to rent a car. Okay, now that we have a rental car, let's go down to a beach. You want to have a sunbed while you go down to the beach in St. Bart's? Well, it's really not that simple here. You need to pay 150 euros per person just to lay down. This is usually before you eat anything, before you drink anything. It's just to have beach chairs. Luckily, we actually ended up avoiding the sunbed charges during most of our trip. Our villa that we rented in Gustavia was actually through Eden Rock, so on St. John, we got the beach beds for free. For Shell Beach, again, since our villa was in Gustavia, we would just walk over to Shell Beach, have a swim, and then go back to our villa to change and lay down and enjoy our pool. In Pointe-à-Malo, Le Bartholomew wanted 135 euros per person, but over there, we only went to Pointe-à-Malo once, so we just sat on the beach and had it without them. Because again, 4 people, 135 euros is quite a bit. And that's the kind of math that you start doing when you arrive on this godforsaken island. Now let's talk food. Every single dish on the menu, 50 euros. Minimum. It really doesn't matter where you go. And you want drinks with that? Well, you know what happened to me and my girlfriend on our first night now in St. Barts. My dad, being the smart man that he is, figured out pretty quickly that bottles of wine were actually cheaper than ordering by the glass or getting cocktails, which makes sense because on St. Barts, you're technically in France. But now every single dinner that we went to was at least 400, if not 500 euros without tip. And if you are American, they do expect you to tip 20%. Well, they don't expect you, but you should tip 20% because when you come back for next time or next year, yes, they will remember you that long. The service will get exponentially better if they remember that you tip 20% and you are American. As for shopping on this trip, my parents did some light shopping for each other while I was considering a Rolex. I didn't buy it over there because they didn't have the exact model and exact configuration I wanted.
But buying a Rolex on St. Bart's is actually cheaper than buying it in the States, as you don't have to pay sales tax and you don't charge the Rolex in Europe.
But the fact that Rolex in St. Barts is a smart financial decision says everything that you need to know about this island. Now, if you want to know which restaurants and beach clubs are actually worth it, again, I covered that in my first original St. Barts video. I am done talking about that video now though. So if you want to check it out, go check it out. But if not, I'll continue on with the costs. All in all, every day, around 2,000 euros disappeared. Just like that. It just disappeared. But you also have to keep in mind that the euro at the time that we went was about 18% up against the dollar. So while we were there, it was really closer to around $2,400 a day. 13 days of that was around $30,000 just on daily living. Now, if you think that's crazy, just wait until you hear about the next thing that I'm going to tell you about. But all this won't even come close as to how much the villa was. If you don't know what Nikki Beach is, it's pretty much the most famous day club on St. Barts. They're especially known for their Sunday parties, as the entire island is shut down that day and everyone, not only the tourists but also the locals, come out and party. And what I mean by the island is shut down, I literally mean the entire island is shut down. Gustavia is dead empty, all the stores are closed, all the restaurants are closed, pretty much everything is closed, and Nikki Beach is open. It's the only place on St. Barts that's open that day. So of course, us being us, we showed up on the second seating, which is the hardest reservation to get on the island. A Sunday table here in the middle of the action for 4 people usually has a minimum spend of around 3,000 euros. But my dad, being my dad, hit it off with the bottle girls really well, and they took us down to the cellar. Unfortunately, they wouldn't let me film down there. So this is where it goes from insanity to bullshit insanity. Picture this. You're underground, surrounded by these crazy bottles with bottle girls, and these bottle girls are telling us down there like to spend 20,000 euros. 20,000 euros on bottles. We try to negotiate and we try to push back, but my dad fell into the trap. We walked out of that damn cellar with 8 bottles of Dom Perignon at 750 euros each. You can do the math on that, and the price of that is not even including what we ate at Nikki Beach. So we're around $47,000, and we haven't even talked about where we stayed at. All 13 nights were stayed at this villa called Les Grenadines. This was a villa managed through Eden Rock's villa rental program by Oetker Collection. Honestly, if you're booking a villa, make sure to do it this way, and I go more into depth about this in my villa versus hotel full breakdown. Either way, this is why we had free sunbeds at St. Jean. But the villa came to a whopping $2,300 per night, including all taxes and fees. This was $30,000 just to stay in St. Barts, and all of this needed to be prepaid in advance. So, casual little family trip to St. Barts with 4 people and 13 nights with economy flights, no private jets and no helicopters, and no crazy shopping sprees. It came out to around $77,000. Thank you for watching the video.